If you've ever sat down to do something, maybe it was something you've been meaning to do for a while, and for whatever reason, you get there and blank. Nothing happens. You can't get into it to save your life. And you probably told yourself what I told myself, that it was a focus issue. Meaning, basically, if I could just get time to think clearly enough, quiet enough space, I can devise a plan. But what if focus really isn't the problem? Because that's what I had to realize for myself, that it wasn't about my focus. I was struggling with something far deeper that was taking up all the mental space that I needed. And if you're feeling that same kind of way, then maybe it's not a focus issue for you either. Welcome and welcome back. I am Takia, and this channel is for women who are focused on rebuilding their God-given capacity and self-trust. There was this season in my life where I can remember wanting to make a change. I just wanted something different, and I could feel this internal nudge to build something for myself. But I didn't have a clear idea. I just felt so lost and confused because I kept thinking of it as a thinking problem. If I could just get more organized, and I'm an organized person, so I was just like, well, maybe let me change up my systems. And I could still remember contacting my mom and saying, I just can't think clear. Like, if I could just think clear enough, if I just had the time to hear my own thoughts, I could come up with a solution. I'm capable. Allah has made me a capable human being. Why in the world can't I figure this out? But it did work. I was not going to be able to think my way out of this. What I needed was something that was non-existent. I was pulling from a non-existing source. My capacity for handling it all, for concentrating, for focusing was gone. I was focusing on capability when I should have been focusing on capacity. And there's definitely a difference. Capability is all about what you can do. Capacity is the space available to do it. And I was still capable. My skills were intact. My desire to make the change that I was feeling was there. So you could be the most capable person in the world, but if you are run down, depleted, exhausted, you're not going to do any of that. It's not going to get done. It was never about my focus. I needed to figure out how to replenish myself, how to restore the reserves that I've been given. So my mind had to shift on, these are two different things, and I need to now navigate toward the right direction. And I started remembering the women that I would see in the institutions that I worked in, from teacher on up, how they would, capable women that would continue to consistently give, being asked to give more and giving of themselves without replenishing what was going out. So they were doing a lot of output without a lot of input. I have witnessed women get to the point where they are admitted into a hospital because they have physical body pain from the stress that I guess had nowhere else to go in the body. And it manifests itself as physical body aches to the point where you are hospitalized. I have watched women lose their confidence, and it definitely wasn't because they weren't capable, had the skill set, the knowledge set, none of those things. They were in environments that needed them to doubt themselves, in environments that were not in the vein of nurturing. They were in the vein of sucking you dry for what I need from you. I don't value you as a person, though. I've seen teachers and admin accept less boundaries, less respect, less of themselves, just for the sake of surviving. And many a times they did so because they felt it was financially impossible not to accept the circumstances. These were strong, capable women who may not, for whatever reason, been taught to notice the signs of depletion. Or even if they were, they ignored them. But most times, they just were not recognized. So you might have an environment that caused that laziness, or you're not disciplined enough. None of those things are true. There's this ayah of Quran that I often return to anytime, honestly, that I need to be reminded of something bigger than me when I'm going through an obstacle or some sort of challenge. It's "Inna ma'al usri yusra," is with the difficulty comes the ease. And it didn't really resonate at a deeper level until I heard someone discussing the breakdown of the word. It's not after, it's with. Not after the difficulty, it's with the difficulty. So hold on to that, because it made me think of something my mom shared with me that I think someone had shared with her before, or she had heard somewhere. And the gist of it is that we ask for peace and ease, all these wonderful things. But the question is, why are we asking for peace? Peace from what? Ease from what? Relief from what? That means we have had to have the opposite in order to be asking God for the peace of it, for the challenge to end. There had to be a challenge. There had to be some discomfort. There had to be some unpeace, some unrest. That change in my thinking didn't remove the obstacle or the discomfort or the pain. It doesn't remove the challenge. It causes you to reposition how you are within the challenge. So it wasn't that the difficulty meant that something was wrong. It meant that this condition that I am within was necessary for me to ask for the relief, for me to actually get the relief and the ease. That was just a different way for me to look at the reasoning behind those hard seasons and why I would be going through it or need to go through them. It's a different way of understanding what the hard seasons are for. Taking it back to being in that space and not being able to access part of yourself where you want something, but you can't clearly see how to achieve it or even understand how you could achieve it. And you keep trying those different things, but it keeps not working out. It's not providing the clarity that you're seeking. Consider the idea that you might be trying to pull from a depleted source. Until you take a step back and ask yourself, what could be pulling from my reserves? What am I involved in that's draining me? Knowingly, unknowingly. Where in my life have I been given from a place of depletion? You honestly haven't replenished yourself enough to sustain what you're trying to do. If you're really trying to tap back into what feels like your natural self, your normal self, it's not going to be through your logical thinking. Sure, there will be a time for strategic maneuvering and planning. Think of something simple. You pop a bag of popcorn, open it up, and you start giving out kernel per kernel. At some point in time, you're not going to have any kernels left to give out. Now, there's nothing in your fingers, but you keep going in that bag and pulling out and pulling out. Now you got the remnants of the bag. You have the butter remnants on your hand. You're giving that out. You have nothing left. Why do you keep giving from a space that is emptied? It starts with an honest assessment of where you actually are in your life. It goes back to version of your life that you're trying to tap back into, realign with, the one that you feel is most aligned with what the Creator wanted you to be here on this earth. That version still exists. Okay, you might not be able to see it. You might not be able to figure out how to get there. It still exists. You have to stop calling depletion a discipline problem. That's one thing. You have to trust that if you have God-given tools to help restore what is depleted, and that what you are experiencing right now, whatever hardship or hard season this is in your life, that it is for a reason. It's not evidence that you are off track, but evidence that it's a part of your track. And it may be what's necessary for that ease part of with difficulty comes ease, for it to make sense. You can't have an ease without a difficulty. And there's no difficulty without an ease. I want to know how many of us out there have been trying to focus our way out of something that required us to just stop and regroup. Comment carry in below if any of what was talked about today, made sense to you. Drop us any comments. Also, your feedback is very important, because we're not talking to avoid here. We're trying to reach other women who are experiencing these everyday, natural, normal things. For whatever reason, maybe you don't have someone near you that you can discuss this with, or maybe even just someone hasn't named it. You haven't named it yet. But hopefully these videos are bringing someone that bit of help, that bit of encouragement, that bit of support, that we are in this as human beings together. Thank you again. Please subscribe, pass the word, and see you in the next one.